Hey everyone, and welcome to the penultimate place to get your movie and TV news and reviews. This is episode 56 of the Cross Media Show, and today's topic is episode 5 and 6 of the limited series Obi-Wan Kenobi. But before we get into our discussion, if you're listening on your favorite podcast service, feel free to give us a good rating on that platform. It helps us with the algorithms and helps us grow our audience. If you're watching on YouTube, consider dropping a like and a sub, and don't forget to hit the bell to get notifications for all of our shows, like the Penultimate Game Show, the Marvel Mondays Initiative, and Anime Nation. If you're watching on Twitch and have Amazon Prime, you have Prime Gaming, which means you have one free sub to give out. And hey, all I'm saying is, this is the channel that you could give a sub to. Kind of like, these are these are not the droids you're looking for. This is the channel you can give a sub to. Anyway, if not, that's quite all right. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ruben, the director of this channel, and today I'm joined by one third of the movie podcast Remember the Film and half of I'm So Tired. And honestly, that's like the greatest podcast I've probably heard, just because that's me. I'm always so tired. Italy's biggest Matrix fan, Hugo Pinai. Hugo, how's it going?
Hello. Glad to be here. I was excited to talk about Obi-Wan somewhere, and I guess I finally have an outlet for it. So
Yeah. You tell Will Beeman I said suck it, okay?
hell yeah. Suck it, Will.
Yeah, there you go. And of course, we have the anime expert of the group, Ryan Smith. Ryan, how's it going?
Doing good. Always excited when we get to talk Star Wars here. It's always few and far between, but the episodes are exciting.
We'll see. We'll see what happens, guys. We'll see. I don't know, Hugo. I've been talking to Christian this week, and he was like very excited for me to talk to you about Star Wars, just because I decided not to go deep diving in your tweets, and
Right.
I want to go, dip my toes in now to see how hot your takes are for this
I
show.
think right off the bat, we can all agree Christian has all the wrong Star Wars takes.
I think we could all agree that Christian just has all the wrong takes. Like, he thinks the man thinks Sonic 2 was a bad movie. Can you believe that?
I didn't even watch it, so I don't know what to tell you about that. But
just say, yeah, he's a hack.
he's a hack. I agree.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
it's unbelievable. Oh shit, he's in the chat and he says Sonic 2 sucks. Well, this is awkward, Christian.
Talk the devil's name and he shall appear.
That's exactly right. Christian, you suck. How about that one? You suck. Before we get into the show, let's do some housekeeping. Who else is in here? Oh, El Diablo Christian. There you go. The Marvel Mondays crew talked all about Miss Marvel episode 2 on Monday, so go check that out and let us know if you're excited for the rest of the season. I'm a little hopeful, so far so good, but we've all been there before where we think a show is going to be like the best one yet, and they all have failed after Loki. So
It's I like Miss Marvel so far.
yeah,
it feels very familiar. Like it feels like it's doing another sort of mythology from another sort of area of the world is now real in the MCU, and we have beings from another dimension. And now the first 3 episodes are in a big Western city, and then the next 3 episodes we're going to the place where that culture comes from, which is very much what Moon Knight did as well.
Yes, but let's hope that this does it better.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm enjoying it so far.
So far, so good. Yeah, me as well.
It's been fun.
Yeah. Ryan, Lane, and I got together on Thursday and sat down to talk all about our thoughts on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Crisis Core Reunion. So go check that out on our YouTube channel now. I just dropped it today. And let us know if you have any crazy theories. And I, for one, still think that Tifa's going to die. I'm sorry. Spoilers. It's Tifa's... She's got to go. It just makes the most sense. But
just to do a twist on the story.
Yeah, exactly. We had it's a tale as old as time. You have to pick one. First we did it with Aerith/Eris. Now let's just do it with Tifa. Then everybody will have their favorite Final Fantasy VII. And as always, please feel free to leave your thoughts and questions on our SpeakPipe, speakpipe.com/penultimateconquest. Before we get into the show, guys, let's do what we've been watching. Hugo, I'm going to start with you. What have you been watching recently?
Well, I mean,
Besides Obi-Wan.
what haven't I been watching? I've been watching a crap ton of samurai movies
Ooh.
Fuck
lately.
yeah.
I just did Large Popcorn Movie Club, which I do with Christian, who is in chat.
I'm so sorry.
A few days ago. Yeah,
Super
it's
fun episode this month, guys.
it's a
Super fun
it's a
episode.
blessing and a curse. It's a blessing and a curse. But we did that a few days ago. I think it'll be out on Tuesday. But basically we voted on an Asian action movie that happened to be Blade of the Immortal, Takashi Miike's film, and it's a samurai film. So I went back and watched a bunch of samurai movies that I wanted to see that I kind of had put off. I also, for some reason, went through the whole Twilight saga with my girlfriend, and it's
That's
bad.
a samurai movie.
Like it's bad, but it's fun. I don't know what it is about it. Like
They're fun movies. They're fun movies.
Every movie I was like, this is terrible, but I really want to know what happens next at the same time. So I, it has that going for it.
Was
at
this your
least.
first time watching them?
I had seen the first two definitely, and I'd seen I think most of the third one. Because that was familiar when I was watching it, and then the last two I definitely had not seen before.
Okay, and that's broken
I
into
knew,
two parts, right?
Yeah, the Breaking Dawn part 1 and part 2. I knew some things, like I knew there was a CGI baby, and I was not disappointed
that baby's
by how weird,
cursed.
by how weird the CGI baby is. It was it looked like Max Payne, which is what I keep saying. It looked like Max Payne on PS1. Like it looked like they got a baby.
Yeah.
They attached like a JPG of a JPEG of somebody's face onto it and made it move. Which was awkward. At the same time, like so bad it's so good. You know what I mean? So it was still fun. Also, I rewatched A New Hope after finishing Obi-Wan. Just felt like I would want to lean into that movie and see if Obi-Wan made me think about scenes from that film and think, oh, this is an interesting little wrinkle to it. And like, there's a scene in Obi-Wan where he sees Leia and Leia sees him and Leia says something like, oh my god, Obi-Wan Kenobi is here? And it's like, in my head canon now, that's more meaningful than it had been for the last 20 years of me watching that movie, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Also, today I watched Thor 1 for some reason.
I'm so
because
sorry.
I hadn't seen that in a long time, and I was like,
Old?
I guess I might as well rewatch the Thor movies because Love and Thunder is coming out. So
I'm really sorry about that. I'll have you know.
That movie's pretty boring.
I mean, Thor 1 and Thor 2 are pretty boring.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll do the Dark World soon enough. But I mean, we were struggling. We watched it after lunch on a Sunday, and we were struggling to stay awake. Me and my girlfriend on the sofa. So
Just a heads up.
That's my ringing endorsement of that.
The Marvel Mondays crew has ranked Thor 1 at number 23 out of 25, and Thor: The Dark World number 24 out of 25. So they're really bad movies.
That feels what they should be. That feels right.
Yeah. So, I think that's. Sorry, Ryan. What have you been watching?
God, what have I been watching? Ooh. See here. I went and saw Elvis and Black Phone.
Okay.
They are both. Elvis is an okay film. It's like every single other one of these
Biopics.
Musical biopics that have come out in the past year. So if you've seen the Elton John one or Bohemian Rhapsody, it's very akin to those movies. But Black Phone, on the other hand, is a really, really good horror movie. It is classic creepy, and I remembered I saw Elvis too. Good for you, Christian. Yeah, that's where Elvis is. But no, Black Phone is Ethan Hawke at his creepiest I've ever seen him. It's cool to see him in a horror role. It's the guy who did Insidious and Doctor Strange 1. It's a super weird, super out there movie. It reminds me a lot of vintage Stephen King's like short stories from when he was beginning to write and everything.
Isn't it based on a story by Stephen King's son?
I believe so. It is done by a story by Joe Hill. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I do believe so. Which he does write a lot like his dad's earlier works. But But yeah, it's fantastic. I definitely recommend it if you like horror movies, if that's a genre you enjoy. It's a throwback to the classic era of them. And I've been watching The Boys like everybody else. And
Yeah, man.
God, The Boys is popping off.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We'll be
What
doing.
about you, Ruben? What are you watching?
I've also been watching The Boys. I've been watching Miss Marvel. I've been watching obviously Obi-Wan Kenobi. Um, The Boys is probably the thing I'm most hyped for nowadays. Like just because the intensity of last week's episode is phenomenal, phenomenal. I'm excited for us to do a season review for that.
Oh yeah.
Other than that, finished watching Barry, and you know, I gotta say this show is not that good. All right, I'm sorry.
What?
I'm sorry. It's just not good. Okay. There's nothing else I could probably say. That's it. It's just not good. So,
Are either of you Westworld fans? Because that comes back tonight.
I was a Westworld fan up until last season where they just like completely.
Drop the ball.
I don't know if they dropped the ball per se. Probably they did, but it's just like once I heard that Aaron Paul was coming in, I was very excited, and then I saw the first episode, and I was just like, oh, it's kind of lost the magic.
For me is like I'm not a big TV show guy. Like it takes some like there has to be a reason for me to get into a TV show because I generally would rather watch a movie that is like a self-contained story.
No, I definitely
to
agree
some
with you with that
extent.
one.
So it's like I usually prefer to watch TV shows when they're like over, and Westworld is one of those that was like I was interested in this, and then I keep hearing that as you go on, it gets worse and worse, and I'm like, then you know, what's the point of me investing that much time in it when
Right.
you know?
You can watch the 1972 movie. It's a fun
Yeah,
time.
I could watch the movie, yeah, for sure.
Oh, hello
But
again.
all right.
Brian, you excited for Westworld?
Nah, I'm in between. HBO needs to do something. It's lost all its big hitters for a while. It's going to try. It's either going to try this or Game of Thrones.
17. They're doing 17
Game of Thrones sequels.
spin-offs.
Yeah.
And
So wait,
I don't think any of those are going to fucking hit. So
so hold on. If I remember correctly, I know that they were doing one that's set in the past.
that one
with
comes out in
Matt
August.
Smith. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
But
called
there's gonna
Dance
be
of
an-
Dragons or something like that.
Yeah, but there's going to be another one that's
They're doing a Jon Snow one that got announced this week and confirmed by his wife.
Which I guess is a direct sequel, and then technically there's more in the book.
They
Like I saw an
yeah.
article where it's like, oh, there's plans for like 2 or 3 more spin-off shows.
Why
It's
don't
like,
we just wait for Tolkien? No, I was going to say Tolkien. Why don't we just wait for George R.R. Martin to just finish the
Well,
books, you know?
Because by the time he finishes the books, we'll have already blown ourselves up as a society, so that there would be no time for.
But maybe that's a good thing, you know? Maybe that's a good
Maybe
thing.
it is. Fair enough.
He's just out in the New Mexico desert playing D&D on a train he owns.
He doesn't care. He's doing like Skype calls with Miyazaki talking about Elden Ring 2 right now.
That's
He doesn't
pretty.
give a shit about it.
That's exactly what it is.
He's
That's
hanging.
exactly-
He video chats with Kojima randomly. That
Yes.
man's living his best
Yes.
life.
Okay, I think that's pretty much it for. Sorry, give me a sec. Sorry about that. Yeah, my dog just came up to me and started whining for no reason. Let's get into the plot and discussion of Obi-Wan Kenobi, episode 5 and 6. Before we like deep dive into this, I want to ask you guys one simple question: are we happy with this show, Hugo?
I am. I very much enjoyed the storytelling of the show. I like that it's like. I think some people are disappointed in the fact that the show isn't like big, massive consequences and major events, and for me, I'm happy with that. Like, I'm very happy that it's kind of a self-contained, relatively small scale story about these characters, and it's just kind of adding some depth and stories to characters that I already loved. That, of course, we already know what's going to happen afterwards, but like.
Yeah.
to me, it adds, as I said, depth to them, and I'm happy with that. And I'm kind of getting a bit tired with a lot of these big franchise stories that always end up being about the end of the universe, and you know, this is Obi-Wan is a story that ends with a big fight and him understanding that it's not even worth killing the bad guy, because like the Empire is so strong at this point in the timeline that we don't like it's not even going to make a difference. So he just kind of walks away in peace and finds hope again. And to me, that's all I needed from the show. Like, if the fact that it gave me an emotional arc with Obi-Wan, which is a character that I already loved,
Yeah.
and added more to that, is all I wanted from it. The one thing that I'm not entirely happy about is the production. I think at this point I can confidently say that I'm not the biggest fan of the volume. I think it's cool in concept, and I think there are moments that it obviously allows, especially the actors, to feel like they are in some sort of a real environment and they can react to it realistically. The stuff they did with it, for example, in the movie The Batman, I thought was incredible. The way that it was used in that way.
I didn't know the
all
volume was used in the Batman.
Every scene where they're in the building talking and you can see Gotham in the background, that was done in the volume. So they are standing on like a set, and the volume in the background is showing Gotham, and that I thought was an excellent use of it. But I think when then you put it into these Star Wars shows, sometimes the action sequences are just kind of limited, just because there's a limited amount of place where you can put the camera and show these scenes, just because of the limitations of the set that you're working with. And I think that on a production value level prevents these shows from being as just visually beautiful as the Star Wars movies are. Like, I keep saying this every time I talk about Star Wars, but whatever you think of the sequel trilogy, regardless of, you may like hate The Last Jedi, hate Rise of Skywalker, whatever it is, those movies look incredible.
Yeah.
There is no argument against that. And
no, they're gorgeous films.
They're gorgeous films because they use practical effects and CGI at the same time in a way that works so well. And I think Star Wars on TV has not been able to match the visual quality or the production value of those. But other than that, on a storytelling level, I'm very happy with everyone.
Okay. Which brings me to my next question. Would you have preferred this story in a movie?
Yes.
Even if the movie was like, let's say, this was essentially kind of like a 3-hour. If you put all the episodes together, it was 3 hours, right?
It's probably like
7 hours.
No,
because each episode 45 to an hour.
Each episode is like 40 minutes, but then you take away the credits.
Yeah, the recaps.
It'd still be a decent film.
It probably adds up to like 4.5 hours or something. Yeah. But I feel like you could have made this 2 hours and 20 minutes, cut some side stories. Like, the show adds characters that are pretty cool, but they're not like I don't know. Kumail, I love Kumail. He's not essential to this story. Like, if this was a movie and his character was cut, I think it would still work as a storyline completely fine.
Right. Okay.
I think, yes, as a movie, generally, the production value would improve, and maybe the storytelling would be a little tighter. I mean, today we're talking about episodes 5 and 6, but for me, 3 and 4 were the ones that were a tiny bit slower.
Yeah.
That didn't really, they didn't feel completely necessary to the story for me. I really, really did enjoy 5 and 6, though.
Okay. Ryan, I'm going to ask you this
question. So Obi-Wan has been, for me, a tale of two halves, where I've liked some parts of it that are really interesting and really cool, especially stuff where it is scenes that we've never seen of them training, all that kind of stuff, those breakdowns, the dynamics of characters we know, and I think some of the new characters are really cool. I've never been one for the Inquisitors and what they do and the way they act and how they are and what they look like. I think that lightsabers are really stupid. I want that on record. I hate their dumb spinning blades.
At least they didn't do the helicopter thing in this one.
Yeah, that's very fair.
Because that would look so funny in live action.
Oh god, it'd be bad. It'd be bad. I forgot they could do that. But some parts of Obi-Wan for me really, really hit, and I think these last 2 episodes really, really hit really well. I think it gets muddied in the middle, but it ends on a very good note. And I agree with Hugo. There are some production things that could be changed with movie budget, but I also could see this making for a better movie than show. But I think unless you're going multi storytelling over multiple seasons, which this isn't, I believe, unless they had. Didn't they confirm yesterday doing another season or something?
Oh, I didn't see that.
No, it's not confirmed. I think they did interviews where they were asked about a second season, and they said, I mean, Kathleen Kennedy said something to the extent of, if there's demand for it, and if there's an interesting story that we can tell, we might do it. But as of right now, it's planned as a miniseries, and it's a
Because as I'm a big fan of the animated Star Wars stuff that came out, Rebels, Clone Trooper, and then Rebels. For Rebels, he has to face down Darth Maul, his last great villain, who he has to face that of his past. And so we kind of know where Obi-Wan's story goes from this. I understand everything now for Obi-Wan's pretty much entire story. I don't need more Obi-Wan story. The gaps in it that I had, this gave me. And I understand now why some things are, like you said in New Hope, have a bit more weight now to them and everything. But overall, I thought these last 2 episodes were really good, but yeah, it'd be better as a movie.
Okay, all right. I would have to say that while there are some things in this show that I kind of felt like you could have left it how it was. It's kind of like Hugo said, like this wasn't a show that was gonna like drastically change the story of Star Wars. We knew the beginning of this and we knew the ending of what was pretty much what was gonna happen. But it was good to see Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor on screen again as these characters. That like really hit pretty harder than I thought it was going to be for me. Am I happy with the story that they gave us? Yeah, but like it still doesn't fix the stuff that I have a problem with Star Wars. Like,
which is what?
So many things, Hugo. So many things. I want to start off by saying like
list out.
I think that Star Wars is one of those I guess franchises that could do well with a what if series, kind of like how the MCU did. Just because the one thing that pops into my head is what would have happened if Qui-Gon Jinn was still alive?
Right.
Would Anakin have still gone to the dark side? That's a rabbit hole that I'm not going to go down. I just feel like Obi-Wan had so many chances two chances to kill Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader, and he didn't. So all those people on Alderaan, all the people that have died in the movies, it's kind of on Obi-Wan. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, I don't know. To me, it's that's what Obi-Wan does, though. Like Obi-Wan, the thing about Obi-Wan in a bunch of different things, Obi-Wan doesn't kill anyone unless it is absolutely immediately necessary. When he kills Maul in Rebels, he is very reluctant to kill him, despite Maul having haunted him throughout all those stories. And you get this final duel in Rebels, and but the only reason he does this is because Maul has found out about Luke,
right?
And he is not willing to give up on that. Like we see in this one as well, he lets Reva go. Reva knows about Luke.
Yeah.
She could he doesn't know for sure that she's not gonna rat him out and bring the whole force of the Empire down on Luke, but he believes mercy is kind of Obi-Wan's thing, and the acting that Ewan does in the final episode, especially where he's like he clearly understands that kind of Anakin isn't there anymore, but at the same time he cannot bring himself to hate.
Mm-hmm.
which leads to the dark side.
Yes.
And in a way, I think that's kind of Obi-Wan's character. And I agree. Like, it may be a flaw. Like, it may be a thing that you could have maybe finished this, and maybe it would have made a difference. But at the same time, would it? Like, I still think the Empire, as this, space Nazi organization, is controlling all of the world all of the galaxy at this point,
right,
in the timeline. And it's like, would it really make a difference if Vader wasn't there entirely? I'm not entirely sure that it would.
I think it would, because the whole point of the prequel trilogy is that he is supposed to be the person that brings balance. So now that he is on the dark side, it kind of like tilts the scales. And
I mean, yes, it does to an extent, but I don't know. I feel like, to me, I agree. It may be a mistake on the part of Obi-Wan, but I believe in his character well enough not being able to strike Vader down.
Absolutely.
Because, like, he doesn't, even in A New Hope, he's like, he it's almost like he knows that killing Vader in hate is not going to really make a difference. He lets himself be killed and leaves a legacy behind of kind of mercy that Luke eventually learns from, and kind of does the same thing. He doesn't attempt to kill Vader, even though Obi-Wan tells him in Revenge of the Sith, in Return of the Jedi, he's like, you have to face him. You have to. If you're not able to face him, maybe we're doomed.
Yeah.
Luke still gets that message of ultimately being merciful is a positive value. And, like, I understand on a canon level the idea of, oh, shit, he could have killed Vader and Vader wouldn't be there. Like, it would be a big deal. But at the same time, like, I still think Star Wars as a whole is still the same morality tale of the light. Like, the light side is still mercy, even in the face of this great evil. And I agree with you in the storytelling level, but it's like, I still get it on a character level.
Yes. I am going to have to agree with you there. Yeah, it kind of would have felt weird seeing Obi-Wan just take the final blow.
Right? Like, if it happened in the heat of battle,
it
would be one thing. But, like, he's down, defeated, and kneeling down, and I could not see Obi-Wan striking him down, even though he's Vader now.
Even with the violence he committed in Episode 3 against Anakin to make Anakin Vader, he did not finish Anakin. He may have left him for dead, but he didn't put a final blow in, that last nail in the coffin. I don't think it's just not.
Well, some might say, I left this man in the right next to a lava field. Like, how could he not have died?
That's the story of Obi-Wan. He keeps cutting people in half, and they keep not dying.
Yeah,
and they get cool cybernetic legs.
Right? Yeah. But even then, even in Revenge of the Sith, where he's like, I failed you, but at the same time he's telling, I have the high ground. Don't try it. It's over. He doesn't want to
do this.
He doesn't want to
No, it's when his back is fully against the wall that he does
right?
it.
Yeah. He just does it because, I mean, Anakin won't stop attacking, and he leaves them for dead. Like, we discover in the show that he thinks he died, and he didn't. Ultimately, he became Vader. But the fact that he leaves him for dead in Revenge of the Sith almost feels like, oh, I can't even watch this. I can't.
No, I can't bring myself to see or
this
be a
person
part
that
of
I
this.
love ultimately die. So I'm just gonna leave.
And in this, it feels like he's come to in the end of this, in the fight that we're talking about right now, where he says goodbye, Darth. He doesn't say goodbye, Anakin. He doesn't say that. He fully acknowledges that Anakin is gone. Darth Vader is what's here. I've done everything I can. This was the last moment I could have brought out any resemblance of him, any hope in him. I can't do it, so I have to do what's right now to protect the people I've now met, and that would be finishing this and then getting back to helping those people.
Yeah. Okay. As for me, I would have preferred a tighter story in a movie, but I'll take what I can get. I'm just glad this was a thing, and like I said, I'm glad that these two characters were brought back on screen. The next question I have here was, what was your favorite episode so far? And let's start with Ryan. Ryan, what was your favorite episode?
100% 6. Episode 6 of this is the fight between Vader and Obi-Wan that we were talking about. Maybe one of the better fights in Star Wars, through a lore slash emotional value wise. Cause I feel like a lot of big lightsaber fights outside of the original trilogy don't hold a lot of emotional weight. Like the ones in the newer films, I never felt emotionally tied to any of the major fights in them. This felt like a major fight where I cared about the two people involved. Also, it was cool uses of force powers. You get what I think is funny enough is we always look at Uncle Owen in all of them as just farmers. I thought they were just farmers, normal ass people.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were glocked up. I didn't know they were ready to go.
Well, I think it was his wife that was she was probably like a spy in her back in the day.
Yeah,
where she's just fucking coming out of the woodworks with guns.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't know this place was armed to the nines and ready for an assault.
Right.
They live in the dangerous desert of Tatooine. So it's
they do, but I'm still like, I expect them to have like the old ass rifle the Tusken Raiders have, not typical armaments.
And like in A New Hope, they get completely murked. By
that's the other thing is that in New Hope, like about 10 years later, no training, 4 stormtroopers with flamethrowers show up, and it's all over.
Christian says they live in Phoenix.
Not Lane.
Hugo, for context in that, there's only 4 people that live in Arizona. It's Ryan, our friend Lane, and 2 other people. So I guess these were the 2 other people. Uncle Owen and his wife.
And then you have Tusken Raiders running around.
Well,
right?
the Tusken Raiders, they're like a biker gang. You know, they just come in whenever the fuck they want.
We have these giant feral pigs called javelinas that eat our trash.
Right.
In Sorcerer.
Yeah. That's
like
a
Jawa kind of. They roam in big packs and they're terrifying. But 100% episode 6 is a fantastic. It may be the best closing episode of one of these Star Wars shows so far. That is live action. I mean, I enjoyed this more than the ending of Book of Boba, and I've enjoyed this more than the endings of Mando season 1 and 2. I think this is a fantastic piece of Star Wars media.
Okay, all right. Hugo, favorite episode so far? Well, I guess in total.
I mean, I would say I really enjoyed episode 1. I know it's a kind of an outdone trope at this point, but I do enjoy the your favorite character is now old and sad. It's like there's something that gets to me with that. Like it works for me.
Then you must have been digging your samurai binge.
Oh yeah, I must have been digging. Yeah, exactly. Like it really, for me, like George Lucas. It's like poetry. It rhymes. It really rhymed with old Luke in The Last Jedi having sort of cut himself off from the Force, given up on hope, and then eventually, through meeting like a younger, hopeful character, he regains sort of his hope for the future and his role as a Jedi. And this show kind of did the same thing. So I did really enjoy episode 1, but I would agree that like 4 and 5 are where the story really kicked off. I guess those middle, 5 and 6, yeah. Those middle 3 episodes are kind of feel more like a bridge to get to those stories, which I mean I think is fine. I ultimately, as I said before, I'm more of a film guy than a TV guy, and I feel like a lot of TV shows kind of do that, where a lot of the most interesting parts of the storytelling are kind of beginning, middle, and end, and then there's got to be some episodes that feel like they are kind of bring the story along, but don't feel as impactful. But yeah, overall, I would say the first one and the last one definitely my favorites.
Okay. For me, I think the fight between Obi-Wan and Vader in this last episode was good up until the point where Obi-Wan just started fucking earthbending.
No, that was fucking awesome.
I was like, okay, guys, like
and he's just
what the fuck are we doing here?
Look at me, I
Yeah.
can do this.
I mean, I understand, like, obviously I'm not force sensitive, I don't have these powers that they have. But I feel like the director or the writers of this episode, they were kind of like watching a little too much Avatar: Last Airbender.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with it, but at the same time, Christian
Like,
agrees for once. And
Kristen says, crazy the way Avatar, The Last Airbender, and Star Wars influence each other. Avatar, The Last Airbender had heavy involvement by Dave Filoni.
yeah,
And Dave Filoni is one of the main creative driving forces behind Star Wars TV.
Like, isn't he the
So what
head
you're
of
saying
what
is-
they do for creative talent?
It makes
For
Yes.
sense. You
Yeah.
know, like...
so what you're saying is Dave Filoni is the reason why we had this.
I mean, I'm not saying necessarily that specifically,
All right,
but
guys,
like...
bring out the pitchforks.
If there is some influence between those two things, he obviously brings a legacy to them.
Yeah.
From both sides. I agree. The rock throwing was a little goofy.
It was a bit too much.
I don't disagree.
I felt like it just
It was
took me out of the
goofy,
world.
but I enjoyed it. I thought it was
Yeah.
getting to see the Obi-Wan that was a great general in the Clone Wars. It was
Right.
one of the few ways they could really show. That's always been one of my problems with force powers for Jedis. It's really hard to show how powerfully force sensitive a Jedi is within the bounds of
Show me
their
when they're
power
f-
set.
Show me when they're fighting.
That's what he was. They were fighting.
Right, but
It's-
what I'm saying is, don't show me with him picking up like thousands of rocks. Show me him pushing Vader, something like that. You know what
You
I'm
see, though,
saying?
that's all they have is they push. They can do that. Like with the dark side, they have the choke. They have the lightning. There's all these ways you can show how powerful they are.
Yeah,
So it's always
It's
been
like,
one of those
think
things where
they-
anytime they've shown powerful Jedis, other than in episode 8, which I think actually does it well, it's always been stupid looking. Think back to the prequels where it was them throwing big ass tubes at each other.
It's like to me it was like more of the we want to show him having thematically, like having regained confidence in his powers.
Yeah.
And so being able to tap into those powers, whereas before we had this fight where he was completely helpless against
yeah.
Vader. And at the same time, they didn't want to go the flippy like somersaults that the prequels would do.
That's-
So they were like, I mean, we gotta have to show something. So I guess we're doing this. But
a fucking huge rock.
Remember Emperor Palpatine's flips? Never forget those.
Never forget.
remember,
Never forget.
remember when Palpatine starts throwing the Senate seats at Yoda and Yoda stops one?
For some
And he
reason,
starts
that
spinning
is.
one and he shows it back. That's
I
cool. Come on,
hate
like,
that scene so much.
It's goofy, but it's
I
like
hate it.
it's whatever. It's dumb, but it's like that's the Force. It doesn't make any sense, but it's
Okay.
kind of dumb. But it, you know,
Okay, all right.
it's like I feel like it's very George Lucas, which you can say is bad or good, and I agree. It is kind of goofy, but I think Star Wars is kind of goofy. And I'm personally okay with that, but I understand that it doesn't work for everyone.
You actually
That's,
brought up
I guess,
something,
my point of view.
a really interesting point there, is it is very George Lucas, and I feel as a full character, out of
Yes.
Star Wars, all the characters, Obi-Wan is the most George Lucas character out of the bunch.
Yeah, I would have to say.
He has all the Jedi stuff, but he has the one-liners, but he can't have the emotional moments. He's a little bit of everything George Lucas loves in his characters, and he brings.
He gets
And
to he gets to embody what it means to be a Jedi while also having questions, which is I think what Lucas was getting at in the prequels, even though not completely effectively all the time. You know?
Yeah.
Okay. I have here. We kind of touched on it, but I guess I don't really have to ask this. Did we like where Obi-Wan's character growth has gone? And I feel like that's all a yes for all of us, right? Right. Mm-hmm. Okay.
What I really liked, I do want to bring up one point about that, was the last few scenes where it is him talking to Qui-Gon and all that, because the end of episode 3 is Yoda being like, you will learn how to meet your old master again.
Yeah.
And to know that he is finally strong enough and able to do that again is very cool.
Yeah, he's finally been brought back
That it
from...
feels like a payoff for something told to me when I was 7 years old in a theater is neat to me.
Yeah.
I agree. I just feel like this would have been a better moment if Qui-Gon... It's kind of like the Spider-Man Homecoming moment where Spider-Man is like underneath the rubble in his old suit and he sees his reflection and he's like, all right, it's time to fucking do this shit. And he pushes all the rubble off. I kind of would have liked to see that in this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would have liked to have seen Qui-Gon just put his head, even if it was just his head, just pop up.
So you would just want in the crumbling rocks
Yeah,
underneath him,
yeah.
just for Qui-Gon to appear as a floating head,
Yeah.
Futurama style.
Or even, it doesn't have to be a floating head. It could have just been his
Tell him,
voice.
come on, Spider-Man. Come on, Spider-Man.
Just his voice. Just been like, Obi-Wan, I know you can do this. Or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's great that we saw Qui-Gon pop up. I'm ecstatic about that. I'm also kind of glad that they shoehorned something in episode 3 and we finally got to see the payoff. But like, come on, I'm just saying, I've always been here, Obi-Wan. You just weren't strong enough to see me. Come on, like, I get that, but also like, all right, I'll take it.
Like,
I'll take it.
Isn't that the same as when Yoda appears to Luke in The Last Jedi? Like he was cut off from the Force. He didn't believe in anything, and then he meets Rey, and he kind of starts
Believing
feeling
again.
like he should not be cut off from the Force anymore. And Yoda shows up and gives him a last lesson. Yoda has to give Luke a last lesson, and I agree. Like, Qui-Gon doesn't really do that here. He just shows up after Obi-Wan has gone through this emotional journey. But I don't know. Like, I agree. Like, I feel like if Qui-Gon was in a previous scene, it could have worked as him, like, kind of giving him like a little pep talk of sorts. But I don't know. Like, Qui-Gon is in. I really like Qui-Gon as a character. It's the reason why I enjoy Episode 1, despite the film not being very well made.
Yes.
He's the thing that works for me. I don't know. He's kind of this untraditional character in the Star Wars.
He's the rebel, so to speak.
He's the weirdo. Yeah, he's the different Jedi, and this is different as well. And I don't know. Also, like, there might be some production reason Liam Neeson just wanted to shoot one scene or whatever.
Right.
Like, I don't know. Like, I like that he's in there. It doesn't make or break, I guess, the show for me.
Even I still would have liked that moment if he was still just a voice.
Yeah.
Even that, I would have liked that moment.
Yeah, and like, there's part of me that went into the stupid Star Wars lore nerd person who was like, well, you know, technically, actually, Obi-Wan is the first one who does the first ghost thing, and he's not actually able to come back exactly as a first, but it doesn't matter, like, it's whatever. Like, he appears to Yoda, like, I'm sure you guys have seen Season 6 of Clone Wars, where Yoda goes through that. Okay, Yoda goes through this Force trip through the wills, which is like these Force creatures, and Qui-Gon basically teaches him how to become, you know, how to strike me down and I'll become strike me down and I'll become more powerful than you can ever imagine.
How to keep oneself inside of the Force after death.
Exactly, yeah. And I like that Qui-Gon shows up to bridge that gap where we know Obi-Wan is going to learn that and going to do that in episode 4. And it hints at, well, Obi-Wan is going to go into the same weird journey that Yoda went through. And, you know, if you've seen the Clone Wars, you know Obi-Wan is going to do this weird Force trippy things. But if you haven't, it kind of gives you a little hint, and you don't need to know that, and it kind of works.
They go on an acid trip to figure out how to talk to the dead.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
It's crazy. Like, Yoda has to fight an evil version of himself, and then, like, he's on the trippy bridge, and he fights the Emperor, but he's wearing his mask. Like, he doesn't know it's the It's crazy,
it's real weird. It's deep levels of weird ass Star Wars lore kind of stuff.
which I'm into, but like
Oh,
I'm
same,
sure it
same.
would be very weird for them to do that in live action.
Oh God, I'd love to see that.
Yeah, it would be crazy. Yeah.
It'd be crazy.
Okay.
Look like Doctor Strange.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Christian's still in the chat. Like, this guy doesn't have anything else to do. He says the best thing about Obi-Wan is that it made Hugo smile. And then he says he
There you
has
go.
a favorite moment when Owen says, "Do you want to meet him?" And Obi's face quietly lights up and smiles. That made me smile. And also, like, that was a pretty good moment, you know?
Oh, hi there.
Yeah.
Hello there. Yeah.
And he also
Pretty good.
says Qui-Gon should have showed up when Obi-Wan was alone on the ship before he left. This is also true. He should have given him a pep talk on the ship. Been like, hey,
I'm doing
like,
it.
I know you fucked up horrendously, but like, you know what he's capable of, and you could just fucking kill him, you know? Just take him down. That's all I'm
Maybe.
saying.
I don't know.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
The funniest, like, I saw a meme online where it was the final scene, and it was like, "Oh, Master Qui-Gon," and Qui-Gon is like, and the meme says, "Oh, so how did it go with the boy? Did you train him?" And it's back to Obi-Wan is like, "Well, about that."
That's good.
I
That's
trained the boy just like you wanted me to.
And unfortunately, it didn't go as well as you planned.
It did not go as well as you planned. No. Yeah.
Thoughts on Reva? Well, did we like the character? Did we expect the twist, I guess, so to speak? It wasn't really a twist, but like her story. Did we like it? Did we not? Ryan?
Okay, this is how to word this one.
All I'm saying is
Her-
her parkour skills are horrendous. That's it. That's
Her
all I'm saying.
character was neat. Anything outside of the Obi-Wan, Darth Vader dynamic in this, was real hit or miss for me. Like, I did not like Leia as a kid. I thought she was extremely annoying in those first few episodes. Only until like 4 and 5 and 6, I really started to enjoy her as a character. And that's how I also felt with Reva. I wasn't really into her character that much until all of the going-ons with the Inquisitors and all that. And her backstory becoming to light, even though we all kind of guessed it. Everyone kind of guessed it and everything. So is she my favorite ever Star Wars character? No. Do I hate her? No. She's a very neutral Star Wars character for me.
Okay, but did you like, her story? I guess. Did you see it coming a mile away?
I felt like I saw it coming a mile away.
Okay.
I felt like she was just a little bit too antsy to always jump the gun and things and all that. That it was not that great of a story. I think the ending of her not being able to kill Luke because she couldn't kill a child, I think that's very interesting and very of her pulling away from the dark side, and that's
Yeah.
always a cool story of switching one side of the force to the other, no matter what side you're switching it to. But otherwise, I think her story was very lackluster in this. I think she didn't feel Sheldon by any mean, but she did not feel as important as much screen time as she got.
Okay.
And that's really where I'm at with her.
Okay. Hugo?
I feel like this is another case where if the same story arc was presented like in a film, it would have worked better. Because her story really comes together second half of the penultimate episode and then the last one. Like it before that she's just kind of very angry and very out there, but it like her actual story doesn't really develop yet. Like I had guessed the little girl, the little black girl we cut to prominently when we see the flashbacks was her.
Right.
But it didn't tell me where it was going, and I feel like that was presented in like a 2.5 hour movie or something. Like it would have worked better overall. But at the same time, I do think her story does come together by the end. I think it's kind of an interesting idea of somebody who survived through revenge, which is what the Inquisitor himself says, and eventually kind of turned back. I really do like the scene where she goes for Luke and she sees herself, like the fact that they show the child being the child actor who plays a young Moses Ingram in this was, I think, very effective. And I think even her exchange with Obi-Wan later, where she's like, have I become him? And he's like, you chose not to, I thought was effective and like thematically consistent with a lot of Star Wars. I agree it's not the strongest character, but just because I think her story is just very backloaded.
Yeah.
You know, like she's a major part of the whole first four episodes, but until the end of the fifth, we don't really get enough to grasp onto with her. And I feel like maybe if we had seen that flashback, like I agree with you guys, like the show kind of presents the flashback of her as a child as if it's this big twist.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not really. Like you're kind of expecting something like that to be the case. And I feel like if you'd set that up at the beginning and you were following her knowing that she was going for Vader the whole time, it would be a more interesting character. I just think it's a structural problem with the show. But I think the story of her overall is kind of cool. And I mean, I'm expecting her to show up in maybe in Jedi Survivor, the video game.
That's what I was just actually about to say. I think she will play a major role in that.
She might, yeah.
And I also think she will probably get a comic book fleshing out what she does from this.
Sure,
because
absolutely.
That usually feels like what they do with characters like this is the more cooler ones they'll give their comic book run, and I think that's a great way to expand this story.
Sure. Which is not to excuse the fact that in the show, I feel like structurally her story is not presented in the best way possible, but, you know, just putting it out there that the people online throwing racist comments at Moses Ingram need to just shut the fuck up and stop watching Star Wars. But other than that,
it's Star Wars. If someone is slightly more brown than a white person, they're going to say something racist.
Yeah, they suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have two more questions here, and then we're going to get into some listener questions that Christian sent in. One, are we expecting a second season? I know we kind of touched on that before. I personally do not want a second season unless it's just Qui-Gon's trip. You know, just a 3 episodes of Qui-Gon just tripping it out with with Obi-Wan just tripping out with Qui-Gon, you know?
Hell
like,
yeah.
dude, you gotta smoke this.
Yeah. It'd be so great. So great.
You have to go into the desert and find these mushrooms.
Yeah.
Then you'll see me again.
No, you need to lick this weird lizard in the desert.
Exactly. No, you need to drink this green milk. There you go. Bring it back to the green milk.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Are we expecting a season 2? No? Hugo? No?
I very much doubt there will be a season 2. I think elements from this show might come back. As I said, in Jedi Survivor or other stuff. I'm not like... I do think there is a chance we see Hayden as Vader again.
Fingers crossed.
In something like more of a Darth Vader-centered type thing.
Yeah.
But I don't see it involving Obi-Wan anymore. Like, I think the Obi-Wan story is so perfectly kind of wrapped up at this point. Like, we get the little element in Rebels, which is another bridge between this and A New Hope.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think there's anywhere else to go with this character. I think this added some emotional depth that I appreciated. But other than that, I doubt there will be a season 2.
The only way I want to see even the character of Obi-Wan again throughout this, if it's not in something set between 3 and 4, is through him being a Force ghost, helping other Jedi, them typing into that. I don't mind that. But other than that, I don't really think there is a need for any more Obi-Wan anything, really. His story feels now... Yeah. I know every aspect of it that would be feasibly important for me to know.
Yeah.
And again, like, if he has a little cameo in Jedi Survivor...
Yeah, no, that'd be cool.
giving a little bit of advice to Cal. That would be cool. Like you get to see the PS5 model of Ewan, and he says a few lines and then he disappears. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I think having a complete story with him would just
No, it
be
feels
doing
like
more for no reason. Yeah.
Now,
it doesn't feel like there's a need for it.
I would love to see Hayden Christensen come into the Ahsoka show as a Force Ghost.
Ooh, damn.
How great would that be?
I didn't even think of that. When I was saying Hayden, I was thinking about Vader.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that would be cool. That would be.
But
pretty
we could
cool.
also see like it could be both. It could be both. It could be Darth Vader popping up, and it could be Hayden Christensen or Anakin popping up as well.
Yeah.
You know, each episode is just like one of them.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty
That
cool.
would be pretty cool
Pretty
with
cool.
Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And the last question I have here, for me, I feel like this is probably the most terrifying Darth Vader has ever been in a anything Star Wars. Did you guys feel the intensity that I felt? You know, like, were you scared of Vader popping up, especially in episode, I think it was 2, where Obi-Wan's running and they're in like the fucking.
That's episode 4 or 3, I think. It's early on when it's not as early on as that. But when
You're right.
Yeah.
Episode 3, I think it was, where he just pops up out of nowhere. Obi-Wan looks back, and he's like, "Okay, I'm golden," and then he turns back again, and fucking Darth Vader just hits him with the lightsaber.
Yeah, Vader's wave dashing. He's moving around.
Insanity. Yeah. Did you feel scared of Darth Vader? Hugo?
I think this was a great use of Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Even more so than like Rogue One, because like in Rogue One it's very cool, and that final scene with Vader is just on a cinematic level is so well made and so visually stunning.
It's an amazing scene, arguably
and the black smoke and the sorry, the lightsaber lighting up. It's just there's something about that just on a visual iconographic level that is so impressive.
Yeah.
But in this, like, knowing that it's Hayden in there, knowing that he's going for Kenobi specifically adds a sense of him being angry that I don't think, like, in other things Vader is a scary villain because he's sort of this emotionless Terminator type thing. And
He's
in this
cold,
you can
calculated.
Exactly. In this one you can feel him being extremely angry and emotionally involved, which I think worked really well for him.
Yeah.
And that image of him with a slashed open helmet and Hayden's voice mixed in with Vader's voice saying, "I'm not your failure. I killed Anakin. Me, Darth Vader. I killed Anakin." It's such a creepy image and such a good piece of acting by Hayden Christensen as well, which, you know, obviously he received a lot of criticism for his acting, but in that scene specifically, he's so good.
Yeah,
and it's
absolutely
creepy.
He slapped.
Like, it's a very creepy image with the lights of the lightsaber just coming on his helmet and half his face and
it's
wheezing. Like, that's some good imagery that they did with him.
Not even that, but just like the voice being mixture of him and James Earl Jones.
It was awesome.
God, so
it was
good,
awesome.
Perfection at its finest. Okay, so let's get into Christian's 2 questions. Give me 1 second, guys. Let's see if you can hear this.
Okay, I'm sorry, part 2.
Did you hear that?
I haven't heard part 1, but
I know. Sorry. I just wanted to double check to see. I didn't want to play the whole thing, and then here's part 1.
Guess who it is? It's me, your boy. Anyway, Obi-Wan Kenobi. What a not good show. Completely disheartening for Disney Plus to release this product. I'm sorry. Like, it's not bad, but it's also not very good. Of course, the production value, we all know, it's bad. It's just not very good. I will not harp on that because everyone else has in much better ways. So I'll just say the production value, not good. The script writing, much to be desired. so not good, and you can feel how disjointed it is because it started off as what should have been a movie, ended up being a show that was too similar to The Mandalorian, and then that's kind of rewritten. You can feel that in the first 2 episodes, and then just becomes this kind of weird show that's also half Mandalorian, half Obi-Wan being someone who has to deal with his consequences post episode 3, and just you feel that disjointedness. Riva, no disrespect to the actress, but just what they have her do in the show is not good. Episode 5 was such a low point. There's a moment in episode 5 where they're blasting the shield door, the blast door, with a gun for what is supposed to be an hour, and then it turns out she can just stab the lightsaber through it and pop open the lock. What? I only have 10 more seconds, so I'll just say, not a good show. I'm sorry. I have so much to say, but I won't. Let's leave it at that. I guess if you liked it, though, cool.
Okay.
That's not a question.
It's not a question.
That's just Christian ranting about Obi-Wan.
Which is fine, you know, like, again, we all have bad takes. Christian, while I will agree with you, I don't know how you're comparing it to Mandalorian. I don't see that comparison at all. I do think that, you know, Christian is just one of those people that just sucks, you know? Let me just play part 2.
Okay, I'm sorry, part 2. I also have to talk about how terrible, I'm sorry, the use of music in this was so bad. You have a score for Obi-Wan that feels, one, like it was, you know, a little bit ripped off from the theme of Spider-Man. That's one thing, but just completely underutilized. It's only used like just when, you know, the title sequence pops up. It's never really felt throughout the season, and that sucks. In fact, they use like what feels like filler music for, oh, this is an action scene, here's like really boring template action music to fill you into the next scene. I don't know, dude. There's just so much not going on with it. I wish it were better. The only thing I really did like is that there is one truly poetic scene with Obi and Anakin at the very end. And it was worth it to get to that point. But, I mean, it wasn't 6 hours of it for like one 3-minute scene that I liked. I don't know. I did not enjoy Obi-Wan so much that I don't think I'm watching any more Star Wars TV after this. Wow. Maybe Mandalorian Season 3, but that's it. Like, cool, I guess. I don't know. Again, sorry. Not sorry.
So, Christian, one thing here. Was it worth watching all 6 episodes just to get that last 3 minutes? Yeah, because it was worth watching episodes 1, 2, and mostly 3 just to get that last 15 minutes, you know? It was worth it. Totally worth it. Go aahead, Hugo.
Can I just say, whatever, like, if you didn't like the show, that's fine. I mean, I'm sure, yeah, like, you're pointing out some plot holes, which is, I think, I love Kristen so much, but I think pointing out plot holes is like the basest criticism that you can make to something like this. Like, I think 50 years of storytelling is gonna have plot holes. Like, yeah. I don't know. It's not. I don't think that's the point. I appreciate what it does for the characters on an emotional, thematic level, and I enjoy that. But like, if it didn't work for you, I get it. Like, it's fine. I don't really mind. But can I just say, John Williams did not rip off the score from Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's another thing that he said.
Like, I did not catch that part.
This is one of the
I did not
greatest.
Hear the Spider-Man score.
Probably the greatest movie composer of all time. John Williams did not rip off a score from Spider-Man. Come on, let's not be unfair to this genius.
Yeah.
Okay, Christian.
Like every great movie score that you remember, he's probably made it. Just come on.
He's a legend of the industry.
Yes.
And he's retired.
This was
his last thing.
No, he said he's 90 years old. And he said Indiana Jones 5 is going to be his
correct.
last.
You're right. My apologies.
Oh, sweet
which is
Jesus!
Coming out next year. I mean, he probably
that was a gig.
Did the score for that, but it's coming out next year. So
I completely forgot that was happening. Sweet Jesus. Christian, while you're still in chat here, what is your favorite Star Wars movie? I need to know because this will help me understand a lot of this. If you can,
Empire.
is it Empire? I don't think it will be Empire.
Here's the
I'm
thing.
calling.
I don't understand. I don't understand. I know Christian likes The Last Jedi, and
Yes.
the Obi-Wan arc in this is pretty much the Luke Skywalker arc in The Last Jedi.
That's where I wanted to go with this.
So I don't
Yeah,
understand.
it is the Last Jedi. I
There
figured
you
you would
go.
have liked
So
the Last Jedi.
I don't really get it.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, maybe Christian is more bothered by the production level stuff that I don't disagree with. Like I think we opened the show saying, like, the production value just isn't as good as it should be.
Which is really weird for a show that they hyped up since 2D23s ago. That's been a major thing that they've been hyping forever. It is weird that it has a low production value.
But like the thing is, it's not this show. It's like everything Disney has released on Disney Plus doesn't have the level of production value that it could have. Like,
that's very fair. That's very fair.
All the Marvel shows, they have a finale where you're like, this looks terrible. Like, why? What is going on? Like every time they have to do something.
Thinking about the Moon Knight finale does give me a headache.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't look great. Mandalorian kind of gets away with it a little more because there's something about, like a cowboy show that kind of works when there's few characters on screen. Like Mandalorian is like a little shootout. It can kind of work, but obviously the level of CGI that you need for like a Jedi fight, it just isn't there with the money that they're giving them on Disney Plus. But that's true, I think, for all these shows. Like there was Loki, great show. There were some shots in Loki where you could just look at this purple thing that was obviously a green screen, and it's just these two characters sitting down on a rock, and like it doesn't look great, which is a fair criticism, but I don't think it's different from this show specifically from others.
Right. I have one last question for you. I made a Twitter poll a while ago, I think right before Obi-Wan started, and I had asked, would you rather prefer another show or a movie, like a story, before the prequels, before the original trilogy, before the prequels,
before the prequels, in between, and then after the
correct.
New movie, after 8, 9, in between 3 and 4, and before 1.
Correct. Yes. Hugo, hit me what you got.
Just with the future of
pretty much
movies, you mean?
Yeah, either the movies or another TV show, just to see.
What era do you want to explore next?
Yeah.
I think Star Wars right now is at a moment where it's filling in its timeline in an interesting way. Like the Ahsoka show and Mandalorian season 3 are bridging the gap between the originals and the sequels. Like the fans may be mad at this, but Mandalorian is very obviously going to tie into Rise of Skywalker stuff, so be aware of that. And with Obi-Wan and with the Andor show, we are kind of wrapping up Clone Wars stories, and at the same time adding more to Rebels, because like Andor almost feels like a sequel to Rebels in the sense that it's giving you more about how the rebellion started and that kind of stuff.
I also think we'll see a lot of Rebels characters in Andor.
Oh, yes, that's very possible. Like, the Rebels character will probably come back in Andor and in Ahsoka, possibly, but we'll see.
Yeah.
And I feel like once you have those, you have a very complete picture of 1 to 9. And after that, I would appreciate them going, Old Republic, or in the future. I think that would be interesting. There's the Knights of the Old Republic remake is technically not supposed to be exactly the same story that it was in the original game. They talked about it in a way that they weren't very clear, but it seems like that game might be canon now. that story will be canon, but it won't be exactly maybe the same as it was before. So maybe that could be a starting point for more canon lore stories. They've obviously been doing this. What's it called? High Republic era, but that's books and comics, there's that one TV show that is supposed to be set there, and I think that will be the actual start of that storytelling, in the sense that the majority of the audience for Star Wars watches the TV shows and watches the movies, but doesn't necessarily go into the comics and books. So
Right.
I think that's interesting, but yeah, I think overall wrapping up the stuff that they have on the fire now will give us a clear picture.
Right.
And then after that, I think we should kind of move away from that. Apparently, the Taika movie is completely unrelated to most things we've seen.
I hope he's doing a bounty hunter movie. That's what I'm really hoping for. He's the kind of guy who could do a really fun,
or like space
comedic-
vampires.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. I'm expecting that to be off the rails crazy. And I'm excited for that.
I think go take a watch the Star Wars universe. That would be brand new. I'm really excited for that.
Yeah. Ryan, what's your answer?
As I voted, I want things before the prequels. I want Old Republic. I want High Republic. I want the Mandalorian Wars. I want things that fill in why the clone troopers were made, all that kind of thing. There's a lot of story there that you could go from even 10 years before episode 1, where they were fighting Mandalorians and whatnot and all that kind of thing, to you could go 10,000 years earlier to High Republic era. There's a lot of Star Wars lore in there that has been written by other people that is now considered legends that you could, like what they did with the animated shows and all that, bring in now to canonize it, because you've canonized pretty much anything you wanted to canonize that was outside of the realm of the movies feels like it's been canonized through the animated works, or now the TV shows have been fully canonizing them and everything. So I think the next step for them is where they have the most media, and that would make sense now to use, would be before episode 1.
Okay.
So for me, that's where I definitely want stuff to be made in. Also, I think that era is just neat. Now, what about you, Ruben?
Yeah, after this, I'm kind of done with the Skywalker saga. I would much rather see, like you said, anything before or after the Skywalkers. Personally, the rise of Skywalker was kind of a letdown for me, so I just get it over done with, There's so much more to explore. Again, it's a galaxy far, far away. You're telling me there's not shit happening on the other side of the fucking galaxy? So, just, come on. I am expecting Jon Favreau, and Dave Filoni to try and make it their own. And now that they've kind of like shown what they can do with these shows, I feel like it's time to, get the training wheels off and let them do their own thing. Dave Filoni is supposed to be the Star Wars guy that is like up there with Jesus Christ, with
George Lucas.
There you go. Thank you. With George Lucas, I just feel like he's got stuff that he wants to do. Let him do it. Come on, just.
Yeah, but like at the same time, Filoni is very, very interested in completing the arcs of the characters that he introduced in the animated shows.
Absolutely.
He's obviously very into the idea of Ahsoka and doing. I mean, I'm guessing the Ahsoka show brings back Sabine and goes into the whatever they're called, the unknown regions or whatever. They're
right,
called.
But
and goes back to Thrawn as well, which plays into the movies and the Skywalker saga, but is also still
separate,
its own thing to some extent. And
exactly.
I think that's why Mandalorian and Ahsoka and Rebels have been working quite well, because it's like it adds to the overall story, but it isn't necessarily about
Correct.
Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker.
Exactly.
And Luke Skywalker.
Yes, and Rey Skywalker. Let's leave Rey Skywalker.
Yes, that is the thing that they did.
Well, you get what I'm saying, though. I would prefer
agree,
seeing. Don't have anything tie into
I
the
don't want to see
Skywalkers.
her and her dumb orange lightsaber ever again.
Okay. All right.
I'm into it. I like Rey.
Okay.
I think it's stupid that they did the Rey Skywalker line.
She could have been a
but I
fucking
do like-
Kenobi. She could have been a Kenobi.
She could have just been nothing, and that's
She
what
could
I
have
like.
been nothing.
I
You're
think
absolutely
that
right.
would that
That was the
both
point. Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway.
But like, I still kind of like the character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, whatever. Like, I think it's a moot point at this point.
Yeah. It's
With that being said, let's have some final thoughts. Do you guys have any final thoughts before we close out the show? Hugo?
I like Star Wars. It makes me happy. And I always find, like, I guess I'm kind of a mark for it, but I find a lot of enjoyment in it, even when I have a lot of criticism for it. Like, I think I still feel like even in the stuff with Star Wars that doesn't completely work, the overall themes of it are still consistent, and I appreciate that. So yeah.
Okay. Ryan, any final thoughts?
let me think here for a second. I'm very similar to Hugo on this one, where I love Star Wars. Star Wars has always been a part of my life. It's something shown to me at a young age. Of something I quite enjoy. It's comfort. It almost feels like comfort food for me. So yes, where I do see the glaring flaws in it, and I do see that, was this the show I dreamed it to be? No, but did it still give me a moment that I'm really happy it did? Yes, and sometimes things are worth that just for that emotional payoff of those kinds of rides and everything. So for that, I think it's an okay show. I had fun with it. It's
Okay.
fun.
Okay. All right. I happen to have liked the show a lot. There were some things like we've talked about that it didn't really do for me, but overall the story, the closure we get with Obi-Wan and Anakin / Darth Vader really hits the spot, and I'm okay with that. Except, just take out the Avatar stuff and then we're good. With that being said, let's get into some plugs. Ryan, where can people find you?
People can find me over at my Twitter at RyanLion3055. That's over here.
Yep.
And I just want to say, there's been a lot of stuff in the news recently, all that kind of thing. Reproductive rights and body autonomy are basic fucking human rights. The Supreme Court can go fucking suck it. Start looking into things locally. That's really the levels where you can make differences and stuff in your communities. So definitely look for local groups doing things for this and see how you can help. That's really what I have to say today.
Yeah, we'll be doing a charity stream later on this week. I just got to figure out what exactly we'll be doing and who we're going to be doing it with. Pretty much everything Ryan said. Fuck just America just fucking sucks. that's all I got to say. Hugo, I'm sorry.
I mean, I'm obviously the outsider here, but
Yeah.
Your Twitter sounds like you're an insider.
Well, yeah, I'm a political science major. So
Okay, all right, that makes a
keep
lot
up
of sense.
stuff.
Yeah.
No functioning democracy should have lifetime appointments that can have this level of power.
Yeah.
And that's all I'll say. Most of them appointed by people who didn't even get the most votes. It's ridiculous. I feel for Americans. Like, I'm just saying, you can get a free abortion in Italy even as a non-citizen. So
I'm just saying, you got an extra room?
It might cost you less to fly over to Italy than to go get the procedure in a neighboring state. Okay. So if that ever happens, willing to help. But I wish there was more that I could say or do, but it's
that's the thing. It's
crazy.
Right.
It's high up there now.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm just sorry to change this into plugs, but Hugo, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Hugo_Pinai, where you will find a lot of more strongly worded political opinions and some movie stuff as well. But you can also listen to my other movie podcasts, Remember the Film and Large Popcorn Movie Club. Large Popcorn is Christian's podcast, but I'm on it once a month doing a special movie club thing.
I'm so sorry.
Next month we're doing American action movies.
So
we haven't picked the movie yet, but basically we're doing a whole summer of action movies. We did an Asian action movie, which happened to be samurai. Then we're doing an American action movie, and then August we'll be doing a kung fu movie. So
You know what
That's
movie? What action movie you guys should try?
no, yes, okay.
Free Guy.
Shut up. Like, let's never talk about Free Guy again. Free Guy sucks. Like, Free
I
Guy
was
sucks.
forced to watch that movie.
Guys, it was a
And
good
that bothers
movie.
me.
It was a good
It was
movie.
not.
It
It
was
was not.
an
It was a
alright-
terrible
It
film.
was-
It was
like,
okay.
Terrible film.
Like, I mean, it was better than Jurassic World Dominion. Which,
Yes.
That's all I can say. Which is
That's-
that's not a compliment.
It's still a compliment. It's still a compliment.
It's really not. But yeah, so you can follow me on Letterboxd at Hugo Pinai. You can just find me.
Okay. I'm going to close out the show with Christian's last final thoughts. He says, okay, one more idea. You ready? What if him and an e-girl fell in love?
I'm sorry, but e-girls all love Obi-Wan Kenobi, so
Eesh. Well, there you have it, Christian.
sad.
Poor Christian.
Sorry. But until the next conquest, we'll see you guys later. Have a good night.
And may the force be with you.
May the force be with you. That would have been better. That would have been better. Oh, well. It's too late. The damage is done. Good night.
We're still live.
Yes, I know. I'm ending the stream now.